Samson the Nazirite, a biblical portrait. Samson the Nazirite, one of the final judges of Israel, is among the most complex and paradoxical figures in the Bible. His story, recorded in Judges 13:16, is not a tale of flawless heroism, but one of divine calling interwoven with human weakness. Set during a time when Israel was under the oppression of the Philistines, Samson's life represents both the power of God to work through flawed vessels and the tragedy of a man who often misused the gifts entrusted to him. From before his birth, Samson was set apart by God for a special purpose. His parents, a barren Israelite couple from the tribe of Dan, were visited by the angel of the Lord, who announced that their son would begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines. He was to be a Nazirite from the womb, a lifelong vow that included abstaining from wine, avoiding contact with the dead, and never cutting his hair, Judges 13:5. This divine calling marked Samson not just as a judge, but as someone consecrated wholly to the Lord. Samson's early years are summarized simply. The boy grew, and the Lord blessed him, and the Spirit of the Lord began to stir him, Judges 13:24-25. However, as his story unfolds, it becomes clear that while Samson was chosen by God and empowered with supernatural strength, he frequently acted on impulse, driven by personal desires rather than spiritual discipline. His life is filled with contradictions. He was a Nazirite who touched dead bodies, a judge of Israel who consorted with Philistine women, and a divinely empowered man who often failed to honor the source of his strength. One of the first major episodes in Samson's adult life is his insistence on marrying a Philistine woman from Timnah against the counsel of his parents. Though they protested, the text notes that this was from the Lord, who was seeking an occasion to confront the Philistines, Judges 14:4, showing that even Samson's flawed desires were used by God to initiate conflict with Israel's enemies. At his wedding, Samson posed a riddle, was betrayed by his wife, and responded by killing 30 Philistines. This pattern of betrayal and retaliation would mark much of his life. Samson's feats of strength became legendary. He killed a lion with his bare hands, struck down 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey, and once carried the gates of Gaza on his shoulders up a hill. These acts were not merely displays of physical power, but moments when the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. Judges 14:6, 15, 14. His strength was not his own. It was a gift from God, meant to serve the deliverance of Israel. Yet Samson often used it to settle personal scores. The most infamous chapter of his life centers on Delilah, a woman from the valley of Sorek whom Samson loved. The Philistine rulers bribed her to discover the secret of his strength. After 3 failed attempts, Delilah wore Samson down with persistent questioning. Finally, he revealed that his strength lay in his Nazirite vow, specifically in his uncut hair. Delilah betrayed him, and when his hair was cut, the Lord left him and he did not know it, Judges 16:20. Stripped of strength, sight, and dignity, Samson was captured, blinded, and made a slave in the house of his enemies. Yet even in his downfall, the arc of redemption was not lost. In the depths of humiliation, Samson's heart turned back to God. As he stood in the temple of Dagon, mocked by the Philistines during a festival, he prayed one final prayer. "O sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more." Judges 16:28. With renewed strength, Samson pushed against the temple pillars, collapsing the building and killing more Philistines in his death than he had in his life. His final act was one of sacrificial deliverance, completing the purpose for which he was born. In the biblical portrait of Samson, we find a man both anointed and undisciplined, chosen yet often self-serving. He was given extraordinary strength but lacked self-control. He was called to lead but was frequently led by his passions. Yet, despite his failures, God's purpose was fulfilled through him. The story of Samson reveals the tension between divine sovereignty and human responsibility. It is a sobering reminder that great gifting does not guarantee godly character, and that even those set apart for holy purposes can falter when they neglect the source of their strength. At the same time, Samson's story offers hope. His final prayer and God's answer show that repentance is not beyond reach, and that God's mercy can redeem even a broken life. In the New Testament, Samson is mentioned in Hebrews 11:32 among the heroes of faith, evidence that God remembers not just our failures, but our faith, however imperfect it may be. Samson the Nazirite remains a figure of mystery and might, warning and inspiration. His life compels us to examine how we use the gifts God gives, to heed the dangers of spiritual complacency, and to trust in the mercy of a God who can work even through the deeply flawed to accomplish His perfect will.